Hi, I'm Morgana the Doll Witch, where I take science and a little bit of magic to make my dolls their very best selves. And so I'm here with Agaris today. He's up. He's going to have to get some work done on his feet. They're a little bit scuffed up, and so I'm going to do a video on that tomorrow on how to fix scuffed feet, because, you know, that just happens. Not anything we can do about that, but I'll show you how that's done. And the video today is about tools and equipment and supplies that you're going to need to do repairs and modifications on your dolls. And some things you can, I buy, some things I make, some things I just, repurpose from other projects. And so I just want to show you some of the basic tools that I use, kind of prioritize what is most important to have around and where I get them at. And so let's move over here. I'll show you where the magic and science comes together to make all this great stuff. And so this is my workstation. At some point I plan to get my back bedroom cleaned out so I can turn it into a studio. But right now I have a pretty good sized living room, and so I just took a little corner in the living room, and that's where I have my workstation. And I just bought this new rack. I got it on Amazon. It's one of those that goes over the back of a toilet, but it works great here. They said it was 27 inches. It's not, because my desk, which is an old school desk, it was old metal school desk, right? And somebody was going to throw it out. I painted it, replaced the top with good heavy duty wood, painted that, and it works great. And the cool thing is I've had it for a couple of years, but started working on my dolls, and I was like, I need something to work on. And I was looking around like, oh, I have this. Awesome. And so basic things that you need for repairs and modifications of dolls. And I'm just going to go through some of my stuff and kind of tell you where I get it from and what I use it for. And so one of the things that I use quite a bit is my butane torch. Now you can use a propane torch. I use a butane torch. This is my third one. I go through these quite a bit. This time I bought a real pretty one, paid 50 cents more. So I have, aesthetics meets practicality. Woohoo! And I use that to, with a spoon, or I use this. I got this, it's to remove fake fingernails. Got it at Dollar Tree for $1. Or this, it's like a cuticle deal. Use that for carving. I heat it up with the torch. Heat it up to make lines or carve out, like details. And basically all I do is heat it up, heat the back of the spoon up, and then you can smooth out the area. Now, you don't want to use this to eat with afterwards, okay, folks? This is gross. All the chemicals and stuff from TPE, you don't want to do that. But use that to smooth it out. I did roughen the back. I don't know if you can see it very well. I did roughen it up a little bit so I can get a good texturing. If I'm like a skin texturing after I've smoothed out the area, so it doesn't look fun, like glossy or anything. Let's see. You're gonna need sharper than shit scissors. Sorry, that's my girl. I used to say sharper than shit scissors. She didn't cuss very often, but she wanted to get a point across. She sure did. These are Singer scissors. These are like sewing scissors. These are so sharp, you can cut, like I could cut through the knuckle on my finger. These will cut through skin. So you gotta be careful with them, but you're gonna need these, like if you're gonna make cuts in the TPE so you can get a good smooth straight cut, you need to have sharp scissors for that. Now this set I bought on Amazon for about 14 bucks. You can get Fisker. Fisker's is a great brand too, but they're a lot more expensive. I got these Singer scissors. They work great. Let's see what some other things. Paintbrushes. Use these to apply paste and TPE and TPE paste or primer. I'll explain what I'm talking about with that here in a minute. I got these. I got this. It's a 25 pack you can get them at Walmart, Hobby Lobby. I got these at Michael's. It's like $6, and I use these all the time. And if you get this multi-pack, if you mess one up, it's okay. I've destroyed a few of them over time, because the chemicals and stuff you use are just, it'll eat these. Some of these brushes get eaten up. And keep them clean. I use soap and alcohol to make sure I keep them clean. Some other things. I know this looks like a Mod Podge of crap, but I use all this stuff. These spoons, you get these for free. You know, if you go through the drive-thru to get food, they're always giving you plastic forks and spoons. I don't know why, because it's not like I don't take it home and eat, and I got forks and spoons at home. But I hate throwing anything away, so I repurpose it and reuse it. Scrape, you know, if you're mixing the paste, use some of this stuff, scraping off paste. You will also need a Sharpie if you're making lines, like if you're going to cut in the doll and you want to, you know, you want to make lines for that, you're going to want this. Sharpie is not permanent on TPE. Make your line, and then after you cut, then go back with some oil. Stuff will come right off. Sharpies are not permanent on TPE, which is good to know. Shish kebab sticks. I have these and I have some shorter ones too. I use these a lot. I know that sounds surprising, but for stirring, like getting fine, like poking hole, you know, like pushing stuff into the hole, like paste and stuff. Also, if I need to find the depth, like where the skeleton is at in the body, because they're not where we think they are a lot of times, I'll use this to push in there, and it's just a little hole. It's easy to patch. Use this a lot. Now this is, oh, there's the other one. So you saw in the other videos I talked about the modifications, like Agaris's horn mounts, and so those horn mounts are done with neomagnets, which are the strongest magnets in the world. And I get the N52 neomagnets, which are the strongest neomagnets you can get. Well, so I mounted the magnets in his head for his horn mounts, and I try to use this to smooth the heat and smooth the TPE after I, you know, closed it back up. Big mistake, because it went clear through the TPE and stuck on the magnet, because it's metal. So what I did is I got aluminum, because aluminum's non-magnetic, and I got some strips at Lowe's. I can't remember how much they were. They weren't very expensive, and I got 2 different sizes. Use my angle grinder, cut them off, add a little wooden handles to them, and so I use this. I heat them up to smooth out the TPE. This one I made a kind of roughed up the surface so that I could, you know, get like a skin texturing to it. This is just smooth. So, yeah, that's saying necessity is the mother of invention. You got it, baby. I had to do something. And then an old toothbrush for like eyebrows, mustaches, beards, you know, smooth them out. I washed it first, but I wasn't using it anymore, so repurposed it for something else. And like when you're doing hair punching, so you see up here, use that to like smooth out the eyebrows. Works great. Try not to make you sick by moving the camera too much. Let's see, pliers. Like if you're working on, like if you've got to do a joint repair, the joints all have gauze around them, so you're gonna need something to like pull that gauze away. This works great for that. And you can get these little jewelry pliers at Harbor Freight for like $1.50, $2 a piece. They're not very expensive. Long ones, like you got to get in there and get, you know, move stuff out of the way. Those, you're going to need some glass jars and bottles for the primer and the paste. And I'll explain, like I said, I'll explain what that means. Now this is like, you can use food jars, just clean them out. I got these bottles at, I think, Dollar Tree for this size, 2 for $1, smaller ones $3, and then even smaller for 4 for $1. Has to be glass because the primer will eat through plastic. So glass with metal lids, really great. Let's see. Oh, hair punching tools. So you saw Agaris and his hair punching, the doll up here. You've seen Exil's hair punching. So the set that I have, I got it on Amazon for 14 bucks. You get 2 of these. This screws off, and these are hair punching needles. I don't know if you could see it. It's really hard. So it has like it's like a little indentation here, and you catch the hair and poke it in. Come with 2 awls, 2 of these, and then 6 of the hair punching needles. I don't like these needles because they cut they're straight. So what I did is a Dremel, $10 Dremel, and I have a cutoff blade. I took regular sewing needles and I just cut the sharp part off the bottom, and then the eye I cut one side higher than the other side, so it helps to catch the hair to make it go in. And I use the small ones, these small ones here, because you want to use the smaller ones to do, or because you only want to do like a couple of hairs at a time, which hair punching it's beautiful. You've seen Agaris, you've seen Exil, but it's time consuming, it's tedious, but the results are worth it. And it's a lot cheaper to do it yourself than pay to have a crappy job done by a vendor, because the hairs will fall out. They do a bad job. Mishka did a video on using a heat gun. So I don't use a heat gun very often anymore. I spent a little extra for this one. This is I think I paid $35 at Harbor Freight, because it will do anything from a warm breeze to sear off the skin of a chicken. You want to do that. You can get a cheaper one, but they don't have as many settings, and you can't control the temperature as well. When you start using these, when you're first starting working on the dolls, you're going to want an infrared heat temperature gauge. Press a little button, tells you what temperature something is, right? You don't want to get the TPE too hot, because it starts breaking down. And so at first you want to kind of keep, I believe it's like 120, 140. I have to look at that again. Mishka has a video on it. Once you've done it for a while, you kind of know what's too much and what's not enough. So it's one of those things that practice makes it easier. Let's see. So you've seen Exil in the aging process that I did. Well, this is the kit I use for that. And this is actually to sculpt and cut foam. And here's a little handle, and these little blades kind of pop in and out. It has this one, and then this one that's fine tips. I broke it. I've got another one because I broke this one. Oops. And then this, it's the cut rubber. The rubber I have, the foam rubber I use, like for my weight reduction for the dolls, it's too thick. It's too dense. This does not cut it, and that stuff is really thick too, so that doesn't work. But I mean, for regular foam, it will work fine. And for sculpting the TPE, like if you wanted to like scrape, if you want to do a straight line across, you could totally use that for to do that. And I got this on Amazon. I think I paid about 20 bucks for it, maybe a little bit more. And then of course I had to replace that blade, and that blade was $7. So take care of your stuff. It's expensive to replace. You want to have a spray bottle. This is a little cheap $1 spray bottle with mineral oil in it, and I use that whenever you're heating TPE. You want to make sure that you have oil on it, otherwise it will burn, and you don't want that to happen, because it like makes a hard like crust on it, and you don't want that. It'll destroy your TPE. So make sure you use a lot of oil. I have other bottles for each one of my dolls. Has their own bottle with different scents in them, so that I can tell my dolls by their smell, because each of them have their own. I put essential oil blends in it. So, but this is my work bottle. And okay, so and then I made some stands. You can buy the headstands. I made these. It's out of deck wood, which is really heavy. I mean, this is heavy wood. And then I put little feet on it. And then this is where this bolt, I can change it out for a taller one or a shorter one. And this just kind of keeps it from coming out. And this, I use the heavy wood because it keeps it stable. And I think the bolts are kind of, this is what the bolt looks like. It's an M16 bolt. Take your neck bolt with you. Measure it up, make sure you got the same thread pattern, so you don't tear up the thread pattern in your doll's head. I'm trying to think. I think probably equipment, the wood, the bolt, all this stuff. I mean, most of the stuff I already had, but I think if you had to go and buy it, I mean, you're gonna have to buy the deck wood, and that's really expensive right now. I already had some, but you could probably, with a one like 8-foot deal of deck wood, you can make like 10 of these. And so, or not 10 of these, you can make 8 of them, I guess. And so, but you want to use a heavier wood so that it keeps it stable, and probably maybe $10 a piece to make them. And if you price these headstands, they're pretty expensive. Even the cheap ones are like almost 20 bucks. So that's a pretty good deal. Make some, sell them if you want to. That's even with, I've used a can of spray paint on it. So, you want to paint the wood, because sometimes the oils and chemicals, if you use that on there, it'll get in the wood and start breaking it down. And so definitely put paint on it, and that'll fix that. And so lastly, I want to talk to you about primer and paste. And so I'm going to do a video on these, like when you would use just primer and when you would use paste. So primer, when I say primer, I'm talking about, this is 3M Tape Primer 94. Now there is a 3M Universal Primer, VMB, and it's less toxic. This is very toxic, folks. So if you're using this, well ventilated area, wear a mask, protect yourself. Once it's dry, and it dries through evaporation, it's fine. But until then, please, please, please be safe, okay? Once it's dry, it's inert. Basically, all you're going to be left with is the TPE. It's used to put on decals on cars, and like those pretty stickers that people put on their cars and stuff like that. They use this for it. I will put in the comment section where I get it. I get it on eBay. There's a vendor. It's the absolute cheapest place that I have found it. I'm sure the guy goes, this woman is buying, like, I buy lots of this stuff. I've probably bought like 8 jars or cans of this. You can buy it in a gallon, but it's really like, it's like $250 or $275 if you buy a gallon of it. I do keep it in a container and keep it closed because it kind of still stinks. And so for some repairs you can use straight primer. Other repairs you're going to need to make paste. And all paste is TPE. Ooh, this stuff stinks. With the primer in it, and it melts it down. And that's how the primer works, is it melts the TPE to bond it together. And so I'll make a video on when you would use this and when you would use the straight primer. All right. And so I use alcohol. I go through about one of these every 3 or 4 months. Because I use them to disinfect the dolls after I've washed them, or I disinfect them, then wash them, just to make sure they're clean. And this is a spray. This is a little bottle for little areas. And so if you do have a repair or a modification you want to do, and you're not sure what equipment or tools you need for that, leave a comment. I'll get back to you. If I don't know, I'll ask around. And also, please give us a like and subscribe. We appreciate that. I'll be doing more videos over repairs and modifications. I'll be wearing the gray hat when I'm doing those things. And once again, I am Morgana the Doll Witch, where I take science and a little bit of magic to make my dolls their very best selves.